time for some bike talk. So I think it's about time I tell you what I'm riding and what I'm going to be using for all of the cycling events I've got planned this year. So I'll be using this bike for Etape Du Tour, a sprint duathlon, which is next week actually, a triathlon, and any other riding I do really, potentially a standard distance triathlon towards September. And unless I'm allowed a second bike for some off-road stuff, then this is the bike I'll be using. But you know what it's like with the other half, she doesn't like to be one of many. But now I've cleaned her, I'm not the best at that, she's often filthy because I commute on her. I can now show you. So the bike I've got here is what I'm going to be using, and this is the BMC Teammachine SLR02 disc, and it's the 2018 model. I've had it for the past year or so, and this is what I'm going to be using as well going forward. So I'll go over the specs a little bit, and then I'll go over how I find riding it and what I love about this bike. Let's start off with the group set. So it's a full mechanical Ultegra group set, which is awesome. It's nice and simple, it shifts extremely well, and I rarely have any problems with it. The only upgrade I would like to do to this is potentially go for electronics, but to be honest, it works really well. It's 11 speed, it's got a 1130 cassette on the back, so it's pretty good for the hills. If my fitness was better, I wouldn't be grinding so much, even up steep hills. And it's got a 52-36 tooth at the front crank. The frame itself is a large frame, let's say 58 centimeters. I don't know if I could get away with 56 centimeters, probably. It's fully carbon, but not quite the very top end carbon. Not that I would know the difference, to be honest. The down tube and the bottom bracket area is super chunky. I've often had people think this is a electric bike, but this being so chunky, I think it's great for stability and putting down some power. It's got the dropped seat stay, which I think a lot of bikes have now. I don't know exactly why, but I think it's to give the seat post more flex, making it more comfortable, but it's still keeping it nice and strong and responsive with the smaller triangle at the back. But I could be completely wrong on that. Let me know in the comments below if you know. And we'll get onto the weight of the bike in a second, but first of all, I want to touch on the disc brakes. They're hydraulic disc brakes, and I'm super happy with these. I'm happy with rim brakes, to be honest, as well. But to be honest, the stopping power of these just seems awesome. And using the bike for commuting and in the rain, that can't be a bad thing. The handlebars and the wheel set are stock, so it's what it came with. The wheels being Mavic Asciums. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, hopefully that's correct. But they're pretty decent, but probably the only thing I would want to upgrade on this bike is the wheels. I think I can get some lighter, faster wheels, and that's probably the best bang for my buck that I could get on Apparently it weighs in at 8.3 kilos, but that's probably without the heavy pedals I've put on it, and without the bottle cages, and obviously without the clip-on tri-bars at the minute, without the lights, all of that sort of stuff. So that's the bare minimum. Not the lightest bike out there, but given my body weight and my fitness, I can't really complain. That's a pretty light bike. It feels pretty light, pretty responsive, and it would be easier for me personally to shave a couple kilos than it would be to spend you know, another few grand just to try and knock another kilo or so off the bike. Currently got Continental's Grand Prix 5000 tyres on there, and I know everyone bangs on about having the right tyre pressure, but it's definitely true. It makes a massive difference. I only just put these on, and I put them on and pumped them up to the correct PSI, and they just roll so effortlessly. Over the winter, I've ran a slightly lower tire pressure, and I got pretty lazy, to be honest, with pumping them up. And I've used gravel tires, which is slightly more comfortable, more puncture resistance, but noticeably slower after getting these bad boys on and pumped up. Now onto my experience with riding this beast and what I just absolutely love about this bike. I think it's a perfect balance of comfort and speed for me personally. It's great for both rides up to 100 miles and shorter racy events, 20Ks or so. It's aggressive enough, has a stiff frame, and the components are super effective, but not too much that is uncomfortable for commuting or for longer rides. I can definitely tell with this bike, there's only really marginal gains to be made if I'm trying to make it lighter, faster, or more aggressive, or going for a different bike. I'm not really gonna gain much out of it compared to how much more I would gain if I just focused in on my fitness and just stuck to this bike and just stuck having it doing what it does best. and if I put the power down, it will just absolutely fly. That's really good. I could spend a lot more on a bike, but I'd probably only gain really marginal gains. I'll be much better off working on my fitness, dropping my own weight. If anything, it would be nice if it's a little bit lighter, just because I've got the Etape Du Tour, which is extremely hilly. So I'll make this as light as I possibly can for that, but I don't think it's worth changing out my bike. I think it's just a case of trying to make this light, making myself light for that sort of event. And in terms of sort of the triathlons and duathlons I'm doing, they're 20K or so, and typically they're fairly flat routes. So in terms of the weight, that's not really gonna make a huge difference. So it's just gonna be about my own fitness there. So that's the bike that I've got. That's what I'm gonna be riding. I really like it. I'm a huge fan of it. I also think it looks awesome in terms of the color. And yeah, it's really nice. I'm in love with this one. I'm probably not gonna get a new bike for a little while. So this is what I'm gonna be racing all through this year, and hopefully it serves me well. Let me know in the comments below what bike you've got. If you like this video in any way, give it a like. Let me know in the comments what you liked about it. I know it's a bit nerdy talking about bikes, and I don't know a huge amount, but I find it awesome to talk about anyway. Until my next video, have a really good one, and I'll see you then.